cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. But crying dove may never fly. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. No more. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. Just let me go, it's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White. Black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. Just black and white. Black and white.
Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new thing here on Simracersworld TV, the SRW BMW Trophy for the opening 2 rounds, sprint and feature race. And we've got a brand new face here in the booth, as well as me, myself and I, Hasse Rømer, is joined by Markus Gjesdal, so a dynamic Scandinavian duo in the booth now. And I foresee great things coming. Markus, great to have you along. A pleasure to have you in the booth here alongside me for what I believe is going to be a really interesting night of racing here.
Thank you so much, Hasse. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. 2 Scandinavians, as you said, that are going to be commentating GT racing. You know, as everyone knows, Denmark has this incredible history with GT racing over the years, and Norway is starting to catch up a little bit now with a few drivers in international GT competition, but we're looking at an incredible show in this single make class racing championship now with these BMWs, and I'm really looking forward to the show these guys are going to be putting on for us tonight.
Very much so, and so am I indeed. I do love one-make racing, and I do love the excitement it seems to always bring along, because it is so nice to have everyone on that kind of level playing field. Now, of course, this series featuring the pretty new, not brand new, but very close to BMW M4 GT3 prototype, which, let's just be honest about it, is a car that has had quite a lot of debate going on about the look of particularly the front end, as we're seeing James Salt in the Evo SR car coming in here. It has quite some nostrils. We're gonna see a lot of those this series, but hopefully, if you don't like it, hopefully you can be thrilled by the racing that's gonna come up. Anyways, we've got a strong grid. We have 3 classes of drivers, of course, all still in one car, but divided into 3, you could say the field is, with gold, silver, and bronze drivers. And those classes are subject to small changes over the opening couple of rounds here. They will be finalized after what will be rounds 5 and 6 as such. So a brand new thing here, and we've got 8 minutes of qualifying left, Markus, and let's have a look at the running order at the moment.
Yeah, currently Sam Baxter, the fastest goal driver right now with 159.9, topping up P1. And then we also have a wildcard silver driver here, Edward May, who's the fastest bunch of the silver drivers. It's also quite overachieving, if you could say it like that. The second silver driver right now is in P13, and that's Gavin Thomas that we're looking at. And quite a strong pace here for Edward May already in the opening qualifying rounds. Chris Valley is the guy we find in P3 right now for Eclipse Racing Team. He's 0.2 behind Edward here in picture. And then we have Chris Warner back in P4, is the 3rd fastest goal driver. So these top 4 guys here are going to be scrapping for positions for sure in the opening few laps of this race. And as we know, we're going to have a few kind of a bit of a weird dynamic as well, probably with the feature and the sprint race, which we're going to have tonight, Hasse.
Indeed, it's going to be quite different. I don't think I've ever really had any of these series, but I do love the more intense action that shorter races present us with. And there are some interesting quirks and things to get around, which I shall do my best to cover and explain in depth as good as I can. Of course, if you have any questions, do direct them at us in chat, and we shall do our best to answer them fulfillingly. And by the way, a warm welcome to everyone joining us here on a what, at least in Denmark for me, is a very wet, very cold, very, dare I say, depressing January Wednesday night, which is then very nice to be able to present some really good racing for you. The sprint race, by the way, 30 minutes, no fuel cap, and no fast repairs as well, so no pit stops expected. And of course, sprint race is going to last for 30 minutes. The grid order for the sprint race is going to be decided by this very qualifying session that's going to be ending in just over 5 minutes time. And for the feature race, we are looking at 45 minutes of racing. There's going to be a 50% cap on fuel, which means around 30 minutes of running on that size of tank. And one fast repair as well. And interestingly, the top 10 is going to be looking at a reverse grid order from the results of the sprint race. That means, of course, that the winner of the sprint race is going to be starting in 10th place. Second in the sprint race going to be starting 9th, and so on and so on. So plenty of things to consider, and a lot of racing to be had here. And frankly, I think it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, this is a format which is very common to people who's been following the Formula 2 and Formula 3 series, the real-life series that are following Formula 1 every weekend usually, where they do split weekends, where they do a feature race in the Saturday and then a sprint race in the Sunday. We'll twist it up a little bit here and do the sprint race first and then the feature after, but the added pit stop is gonna bring strategy to another race, really short race in that terms.
Yeah, it is, and from what we usually see as well here, many of the races are an hour to an hour and a half, so 30 minutes is really going to be over with quickly, and it's very different. It's a different mindset that is needed. It's an all-action approach, as Chris Warner takes a little too much grass here. Early days on a flying lap, currently 5th in the goals. By the way, I do realize we have a bit of an issue with the YouTube event, and I shall be with you momentarily. It'll be a very short moment indeed. I'll just go fetch the actual live link, so all you that are still on here momentarily. Oh, without having myself in the background. There it is. Hopefully YouTube is not gonna bust it out when it's our own channel putting it in. Do apologize for that and any misconvenience it might have caused. And on the note, while we're apologizing, let's just do the entire damn thing and just, you know, have a clean slate for afterwards. Trading Paints, which takes care of our liveries here on iRacing, is really having some fits tonight. And after 3 restarts and a reinstall, it's still refusing really to do anything about downloading the liveries that we were otherwise really looking forward to seeing for tonight. So if you're wondering why your team's liveries aren't showing up, or why all the cars look bland, well, to say the least, not very interesting in terms of graphics and designs and such, well, that's the reason. We'll be crossing fingers that Trading Paints at some point wants to play a game, but at the moment there's nothing we can really do about that. And with the apologizing done, Markus, just over 2 minutes left of qualifying now.
Yeah, really exciting for this race to start now. Qualifying is like practice. You know, you go around and you lap a little bit. At least we don't see these guys go around and do drafting parties like they did in Formula 3 when they were on big tracks like Silverstone, which is it's the home of Grand Prix racing and really racing in Europe in general, in my opinion. It's a very huge track for a wider variety of racing series via World Endurance, Formula 1, MotoGP. They all take place here on usually the same year without the pandemic, of course. But yeah, this is going to be a really interesting race. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out, especially for the feature race with the added strategy element.
Indeed. And I think it's going to be nice that we see these two different type of races, one with a pit stop and one without, come together and happen on the same night. Porsche Sport wants us to restart the session with Caymans. Then it's not really going to be the BMW Trophy anymore, Porsche Sport. But I do see why it's hard to accept. Indeed, we have indeed tried. We have tried hitting Control R many times, John, and I'm afraid it didn't do much good. So deleting liveries out of the local folder. There are no liveries in the local folder. There is only Trading Paints liveries and a decal layer that we're running for the series, which houses the number on the car. So we've been there. We've spent over an hour trying to get it to work, and it's something that bugs me out a bit because usually here on Simracersworld TV we really like discussing people's liveries, and well, as much as we like having our own taste, it's also just the greatness of the show indeed, and that's something that for now at least we're gonna have to do without.
At least we can get a look at these creative choices which drivers have made with the original iRacing templates, which you can get through the car viewer. There's a lot of variety out here as well, with some different shapes and color combinations. So we'll have some slates to look at today as well, for sure.
Yeah, indeed. And luckily, though, it's not going to do anything to hamper the quality of racing. And just to go over a few of the drivers, there are some very well-known faces. You mentioned Edward May doing very well for himself, it has to be said, in the Fury Sim Sports car. And that actually is one of the liveries that has managed to load. So nice to see that. Edward still topping the silver drivers list in second overall, and a long way over 10 positions in front of the second placed silver driver. So I wouldn't be surprised if we'll be seeing Edward with a gold sticker to his name later in the season, or he's maybe just really fast at Silverstone, Lord knows, we'll see. But Edward May is looking at a good starting position. Chris Warner is finishing a flying lap. What's it going to be for him? Nothing much, as he pulls across and seems to have not really been wanting to do anything with that. And then Bud Boland in the 13 Simracersworld esports car.
Out there cutting grass again, Bud.
Yeah, indeed. It's not the first time we've seen that in this session. And I was just going to see if we could bring up the qualifying display, but it seems... somehow that has disappeared. So we cannot. But it would have been nice right now. Anyway, Edward May, oh my word.
Oh, P1.
P1 at the
out of
very
nowhere.
And that is by 1/1000th of a second, Marcus. That is closer than close. These margins are by a hair's width here. That's impressive.
It's almost like he waited that lap out until the very last second of this session and just punched through and got Paul with, as you said, 100th of a second here in front of Sam Baxter, which is just, Sam has got to be kicking himself. That's a huge psychological blow as well. You're coming in there, you have pole position, and you start settling in, kind of getting calm in that setting, and then suddenly it's robbed from you in the last second. So no way for Sam to defend himself there, and he'll have to start on the second spot for the sprint race.
Yeah, indeed. So just awaiting the session to finally take over, and very shortly we shall indeed have results and a grid order to show you. And while that might take a moment, I'll take the chance to thanks Abruzzi Racewear for sponsoring the series and making whatever's happening here on track, virtual track that is, like this is the virtual booth, but doesn't stop us from calling it the booth it is, the track it is, the racing it is, and it's all sponsored by Abruzzi Racewear. So go check them out, links in the description. Thank you very much. And there is the grid order. Edward May, a silver driver for Fury Sim Sport in the 107 car, on pole position ahead of all the gold drivers: Sam Baxter, Andrew Hopley, Seb Heberer, Chris Warner, then Michael Pedersen, Chris Wally, Bud Boland, Neil Cooper, James Salt in 10th place, then Oscar Wilkins, Greg Franks, and let's just have a quick roll down to see further down Paul Cook, Gavin Thomas, Paul King there for Ignium Motorsports in 15th place, in front of another Paul, that's Paul Gosling, a well-known face here on the channel. Quantum Racing, he represents Andrew Lovesey then, and Nils Manshanden. So he's going to be manhandling this BMW, this series indeed. Jeremy de Bover and Nilsson Inacio in 20th place. James R. Hall and Dirk Reski is in 22nd. Ian Roots, the big boss at Simracersworld, he's here as well in 23rd. And Ben Llewellyn in 24th place. The final couple of rows on the grid is comprised of Hassan Arafat, Philip Hopley, Mark Lewis, and Max Spooner, with Luke Schneider, David Fuller, and John Barnes rounding off the grid.
Last two drivers there on the grid who didn't even put up a lap for this qualifying session. We'll see if they even turn out to the grid here. Could be a strategy for them to want to start all the way back in the field here and try and avoid a lot of mess in turn one here.
Yeah, indeed, that is a viable strategy, and it's very true indeed. Midfield is always a dangerous place to be in a tight start like this, and mind you, single make one make racing doesn't make that any less tight. So let's see, we've got a short bit of formation going on behind the safety car. And when that swings off, it's going to be green for the sprint race. 30 minutes of racing just about to happen. We've got the session time up there for you, so you can, of course, keep along. And while I did as well just realize that live timing probably haven't been shared in this chat as well, so I'll do that very quickly as well. Before we get the stuff rolling, of course, live timing means that you can get the grand overview as well of what's going on track. And here we have it. Cars rolling down towards the start-finish line. And is that a short formation? I think it is, Markus.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Pace
Oh,
car.
sweet.
These cars going in, so not a lot of time here for people to do the Coanda strategy and warming up tires and brakes for the first few meters of the track, but they're all getting warmed up now, coming into the last few corners here, about to start this first sprint race. Take us through the first lap here, Hasse.
Yeah, indeed. Edward May takes the field through the start, and we've got a new season of racing going. That's a very, very nice start for Ed May indeed. And Andrew Hopley quickly grabs second place. Front of Sam Baxter, Sepp Herber, and Chris Warner there losing a position to the Volante car. And we see the liveries, they are popping up one by one there. Michael Pedersen has had his livery come on, which is nice, in the 7 car. Oh, a little bit of trading paints indeed, the two here. The Fury car of Chris Warner stays ahead. Then it's Chris Wally, Bud Boland, James Salt, Neil Cooper. Getting overtaken there by Oscar Wilkins, but he's going to be on the outside here. Still overlap between the two, a bit of jostling going on in behind. Dust being kicked up very much side by side here. Wilkins hangs on. Great move, this eventful. Oh, and there's a spinner.
That's the 14 of Chris Valley by the looks of it, and he is trying to cope and get back on the track again. Bob Boland as well involved in that.
Yeah, both of those involved in that situation. We're going to have another look quickly here as we can see. Oh, just a touch. Perhaps the squeeze and then another touch. We can hear someone collecting Bud Boland there, of course. It's hard to really do much about that. But look at that.
Yeah.
The question.
That's a hard call to make there. The 14 was already on the inside. There didn't really have a lot of space to move out by the looks of it. And then the 13 just put a squeeze on him and ended up going around both of them. So more of a racing incident, honestly, if you ask me. Just you know, a consequence of running tight in the pack in the first lap like that. And these things happen, especially with the damage model that iRacing is running as well. You can't really nudge people or get close to people and kind of knock doors a little bit before you start spinning each other out. So probably a very harmless contact between the 13 and 14, but with the physics in iRacing currently, it just ended in a spin for them both.
Yeah, sad to see, but a relatively clean opening lap. And just as I say that, Gavin Thomas, and we've had another problem as well for Oscar Wilkins, I think. That's Jeremy de Boer, so we're going to have 2 looks at just what happened for these 2 drivers here. Gavin Thomas, who fell rapidly down the order here in the 48, just over-rotates and comes in much too hot and finds himself facing the wrong way. And actually, it's not a bad decision to reverse up, give a little more space to rejoin, but he's going to be all the way at the back of the pack indeed. And then Oscar Wilkins, who got out of shape. Oh, and his car just came around as well.
It almost looked like he had it as well for a second there, but the traction control kind of came in a little bit and then started offsetting the car, and he didn't quite get the car under control while the traction control was working against him, so resulted in a spin there. But good efforts from him trying to catch the car after it went there for him.
Yeah, indeed. So Ed May is still leading Andrew Hopley, Sam Baxter, Sepp Herber, and Michael Pedersen, with Chris Warner along for the ride. Pedersen's gotten past Warner and up into 5th place now. And it's all the gold drivers hoarding someone who... you said he was a bit of a wild card, and indeed, I don't think Edward was necessarily expecting this kind of performance himself. I know he's done some practice. We had a quick chat to him before the race. He popped in the booth. Of course, Edward... usually he's on this side of things. He's in the booth with us commentating. Now he's on track and he's doing rather well for himself.
Yeah, the pressure is on Edward right now with the Quark 25 right behind him. The fastest goal driver currently, Andrew Hopley, which we see coming through here. And then he also has a lot of pressure from Sam Baxter, who was originally our pole sitter until Edward came and ruined his party. But another driver I think we should talk more about. We have another overtake here as well. The car 58 on the outside there in the last corners. Will he hang? Oh, barely got it there. It was a very good move there from Sam Baxter. But going back to Mikael Pedersen, our Danish friend here, the only Scandinavian as well, which we're having in this race currently. He is very familiar with this type of racing. He's been racing a lot in the Danish Esports Championship there. Look at this move. This is so clean. Clinical from Sam Baxter going on the outside there. Back to Pedersen though. He did the Porsche Cup thing, the national race, which is hosted by the National Car Association for Motorsports there, and is got some experience with single-make cars around himself, and he also did a race here at this track without traction control, so I think he can be strong, especially in the feature race.
Yeah, he really could, and he's certainly a force to be reckoned with. We've seen him as well here on the channel in the virtual Belcar E-Series, where the Volante Racing team has done very well for themselves, driving a Porsche 911 Cup car, and to be successful in that kind of car, you certainly need to have skills. Michael's shown that on plenty of occasions here, and we are indeed expecting him at the front of affairs. So good start as well for him, climbing a couple of places. The big winners at the moment are to be found slightly further back the field, however, because Andrew Lovesey's been climbing steadily up the order. He started 17th, he's up into 12th place here at the moment for Ignium Motorsports. Let's see, further down, Ian Root's actually the furthest climber at the moment. He's gone up 6 places.
We have some problems here as well with car 58, the guy who did that outside move in the last few corners. He's dropping positions quick now.
Oh,
and here we have him, Sam Baxter. Not sure what happened to him then. Got a replay of it. He's going slow here. Oh, you know what that could be? There's quite a big chance that he got a penalty for cutting the course or taking too much asphalt at a part of the corners. Maybe that, or maybe forgot to fill race fuel before he went out. Nope, he's still going out. Flip back to race pace. So quick slowdown there for Sam Baxter, which has dropped him back to 6th after that impressive move on the outside there on the last few corners of this track.
Yeah, indeed, that's not that's far from optimal. It's a lot of work that's been undone in an awfully short period of time, and very, very frustrating indeed here. Paul Cook is in 10th place at the moment with Paul King for company. We just need Paul Gosling to get through on Niels Mansanten there up ahead. So we'll have 3 Pauls in a row, and that's going to be a beautiful sight indeed here. Paul Gosling in the 42 car. According to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, that is the meaning of life. So Paul Gosling certainly onto philosophical things here. This 42 machine pressing on for a top 10 spot at the moment, and all the while, Marcus, Edward Mays hanging on brilliantly out here. He's actually extended his gap to Andrew Hopley, at the moment.
Yeah, he was getting some pressure from Sam Baxter for a few seconds when he made the move around Andrew, but that move as well cost him a lot of time up to Edward after that, because he lost a lot of car lengths from it. And with the slowdown for Baxter as well, Andrew is falling back a little bit, but he's catching up quite regularly actually as well. They're near identical as well in lap times. Both of them did a 2-minute 0.7 last lap time. So really setting the pace here, Edward Meyer, right now.
Look at this here, Michael Pedersen with a clean move as well up the inside of Seb Hebera. Up into 3rd place he goes. Seb Hebera by no means out of it. Seems very, very composed, the German in this car. Doing well for himself. Chris Warner there, leading 2 Fury drivers in the top 5 at the moment, with Sam Baxter in 6th place, knocking on the door as well. As we could see before, we had some liveries slowly but surely popping on, so we're hoping that along the course of this evening's racing, we're going to see, if not all, then at least most of the liveries. But indeed, it took Marcus and myself about 15 minutes to get to respectively 1% and 2% downloads there on the paints. And we're with Scandinavian internet speeds, mind you. It's not potato internet. We're talking serious internet connections here. So we've washed our hands, or in 2021 words, we've covered them in sanitizer, and we've done all we could. Anyway, Edward May is still holding on. And further down, just to take you through the bronze drivers as well. Here's Dirk Reski leading the bronze charge in front of Ben Llewellyn, who is 21st overall at the moment, under pressure from Ian Roots. And then next driver is third in the bronze drivers standings, that is Hasse and Arafat.
Good job by everyone as well, keeping their nose clean for this this event so far. There hasn't been a lot of incidents and contacts, except for the 3 incidents that we saw in the start, but you know, it's all a racing matter, and it's usually a byproduct of being very close to each other on the start. Trying to get a replay here from Paul King, and an incident here with the 133 here, getting turned around as we try to give compliment these guys being good in the start.
But these kind of contacts happen, no damage really, I think. That was a proper American police car pit move there. Just a shame that isn't what we've come here to see, but bit of an unlucky contact. It's easy make here. The M4 GT3 car is certainly on the stable side of GT cars, and you will find drivers probably trying to set the car up to really get it to rotate as much as they possibly can, both to alleviate understeer, but also to avoid the front tires getting worn too hard too early, Markus.
This is quite an interesting car, honestly, because this M4 GT3 is a prototype, so it does exist in real life, but it hasn't been put in real life competition yet. This is the first time we see this car in action, and it's virtual. So we don't really have any baseline from real life data or anything like that. So these drivers, they're just basing setups upon their own experience and for whatever they can get from DRS or PDS or all of these setup places where you can get a finely tuned car for these tracks. Oh,
we've had a problem here for Chris Wally, I'm afraid. Seb Herber has had a bit of an off track as well. Here's Chris Wally, and the 14 car gets collected. Question is that Hebra in the 211? I don't think it is. That must be the 211 of Hebra is there on the inside. Oh!
I think the previous contact we saw was with Mark Lewis in the 11 car, but then we have this one with Seb as well, in the 211. So really hard racing out here, and a lot of door contacts, and these cars are really suiting it well. Like it does take a punch or two without really backing down this car.
Yeah, it does. We've seen it already, and it's proving to be a good provider of action, if you will. Here, a battle for what is effectively 4th place at the moment. Chris Warner, Sam Baxter, teammates at Fury Simsport.
Really getting the pressure on him now. Sam Baxter. Chris Warner looking at getting through here. Baxter, who's starting his work again. He was P6 for a short moment. Is back up to P4 now. Trying to find a way up to the first few positions here. Honestly, I have to say, it's so weird commentating in English now. This is the first time I'm commentating in English. I've been doing a Norwegian broadcast for the last almost 12 months, so a lot of these words coming in are usually in Norwegian, then I have to try and figure out how you say it in English. But a very good race nonetheless. I'm really enjoying myself and seeing these guys go out here and scrapping for positions. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's good to have you along, Markus, and all things into consideration. Well, I don't even think I'd noticed that. It sounds like you've been doing it in English all along, and I can only say that it's a feeling I'm well familiar with as a Dane. Sometimes you just feel it's not your maternal language, and sometimes the words just don't want to come out the mouth right, or even better, that's what happens to me. Sometimes I take a Danish phrase and I put it out a little directly, and I translate it very directly into English, and it occurs to me that it makes no sense at all, because it's a way of, like, a figure of speech.
Hey, we're foreigners. We have an excuse at least.
Yeah, indeed, exactly. Motorsport knows. I still haven't mastered it. Will I ever? Probably not. That's a part of being human, which is what makes it great in the end here. Greg Franks, we haven't mentioned him at all in the 99 car. He's in 9th place at the moment, fitting indeed for his number. And he's really putting on the pressure here. It's Neil Cooper, Seb Hebera, and then Greg Franks. These 3 drivers will probably have raced a few times against one another in 1 or 2 SRW championships here. I think Hebera has a look to see if he can scare Neil Cooper into giving any sort of space. And they're all trying to get in touch with James Salt here in 6th place, who gets a little wonky on the exit there, Markus.
This is a great scrap for positions right now. 22 is he's comfortable where he's at right now, but one mistake and he'll be right in the Wolves pack here with car 3 and 211 and 99. I'm just wondering, how much pressure can Gregory put on Sebastian before he makes a mistake, because he doesn't have anything pushing him from behind. Oh, getting really close there to 211. He's really trying to get most of his car out right now, but even if you have a sprint race, we're 15 minutes past, and we've got 15 minutes left of this race, about 16 laps in this sprint. You still have to think about tire conservation with this new tire model we have in iRacing. If you use up too much in the start, it will really come back to you after a while. Ooh, another incident here with car 27. Our Portuguese friend, Nelson Inacio, going backwards there. Put his car in race gear.
Yeah, just gets another slight touch. But indeed, tires are going to be important here, and I think if anyone overdrives the car in these early stages of the race, it's going to be very evident over the closing minutes, so watch out for that. And it's going to make even more of an impact in the feature race, which presents us with 15 more minutes of racing. Of course, they will have to take a pit stop there, but of course, they're not going to go for the tire change. It's going to cost quite a lot of time here. Edward May, Andrew Hopley, Michael Pedersen, currently 2 seconds down on the car ahead. He is ever so slightly marooned on an island. The Dane at the moment, Chris Warner, is happily sitting on a 1.6 second advantage now, down to Sam Baxter, who hasn't really been able to translate his qualifying pace into race pace here.
No, it's been struggling in the race here. He got 2nd place robbed from him in the start already, and then he tried to fight back with it and ended up with a slowdown. So back into P5 right now. His teammate Chris Warner has passed him for position, and we can go back again to this tire discussion we had just a few moments ago. And from my experience and looking at the data from when we have done GT3 testing, it has a huge impact on how you push the car. We have an incident here with the 33 with Owen Wilkins.
Oscar Wilkins has had a tough time indeed, and Mark Lewis has been involved in something as well here for MT Racing. The number 11 car was already taking a knock, front and rear, and I think that spin, Marcus, could be a result of the damage.
That could be. But back again to the tire discussion, it's just, if you start pushing the tires hard and you start trying to run 100% lap times every single time, you will wear them out. Not just by actual wear, but the tire pressures will become so high, and also offset in how you have the pressures as well. It has a lot to say. So if you're not nursing the tires and not taking care of the car, it will have a huge impact on how the race will end up progressing for you as a driver. And that could also be the reason why we saw this spin as well with the 11.
That's a good point as well here. Still a close fight between Neil Cooper, Seb Hebera, and Greg Franks. They've all joined to the rear end now of James Salt in the 26 car, who has company that's now, I think, closer than he would probably like. And yeah, very close indeed there.
He's got to do some work right now, trying to break away from these guys behind him. He needs to start looking in front of him instead of behind him, because if he starts focusing on the guy in the back of him, he's going to start wearing himself out mentally, and it can have a huge impact on how he can be able to to control his own race, because right now he's getting a lot of pressure from these three guys in the back of him.
Yeah, indeed, that's very true. It's going to be a test of wits as much as it's a test of skill. Here. Neil Cooper is looking to defend as well from Seb Hebera. By now, I think as well we'll be getting ever so anxious just about getting past here, because I think some of these drivers will be feeling held up in a situation like this. And I think if your patience begins to go in these situations, you can very quickly find yourself in a heap of trouble, can't you?
That is totally true. It's all about trying to keep calm and collected while you're trying to figure out a way to get in front of the guy behind you, or in front of you, I mean. You have the 99 here, our Belgian friend, who is, I mean, this is luxury in a racing world. He's the last car in this group. He can chill out, take it easy, watch from where he's sitting right now, and see how everything kind of plays out in front of him. And he still has to race and try and keep on this train. If he loses draft right now, he'll be a lone soldier for a little while. Ooh, Ian Roots.
Oh, what's happened here to Ian?
Drove off the track there.
Yeah, but you have to wonder what the car seems to be worse for wear already. Doesn't seem to be in a good state, and he's had another problem here, I'm afraid. Oh, the rear just going, and it keeps going, and he never comes back. Yeah, and that's very hard into the wall there.
Lost it, and Beck gets there, and then the traction control starts kicking in. Can't do anything then. If you're lucky, you can disable it in pace, or while you're sliding across the grass, and you might be able to save it. But when you're in that position, you're kind of just going one way, and that's going to be for the wall. If you start braking 100%, then as well, the ABS will start going nuts, and you know, nothing good will come out of that ever.
No, it's true. Once the rear goes in that kind of way, it's often that nothing can really be done. No matter what you do, it's not going to have the desired effect. You can throw the car left and right. You can give it plenty of tank slap, but correcting it and making it go straight or turn in the desired angle, if you will, it's often very difficult. Michael Pedersen, third at the moment, comfortable advantage still to Chris Warner in behind, and the advantage of Andrew Hobley, 2 seconds. It's a second and a half for Edward May, still in the lead. Less than 10 minutes to go of the sprint race. It's passed on quite quickly. We've seen hard racing, but good racing as well. And Edward May, of course, leading in the silver drivers class as well. Don't expect him to stay long in there if he keeps up this sort of performance. But it's more or less the entire gold field following. And at the moment, second for the silver drivers is here for Fury Sim Sports. It's Paul Cook in the 85 car, another one of these liveries that has yet to load. And there could be hope in the sense that we, coming into the feature race, we have a lobby switch to accommodate that, which could in turn mean that we have a second chance of getting Trading Paints to play cards with us, which would be very nice indeed. In the bronze drivers standings, Ben Llewellyn is leading. He's on the tail of Nils Manschanten here.
We have a very good scrap for position right now in P7. Neil Cooper and Seb Herbert still going at it at the moment. Look at these guys trying to figure out a way past each other. 211 as well, showing himself a lot in the mirrors of the 3 car there. The 99 still sitting put. Can get him coming through the hangar straight now. Or no, this is not the hangar straight. This is the Wellington straight, the new straight from the new arena circuit, which we are on right now. Track which was open in 2011, if I recall correctly.
I will have to just believe you on that, because I don't know, to be honest. And I won't pretend that I do. Indeed, Oscar Wilkins has not had the best of times in the sprint race here. It's been a tough one, and it's been on the receiving end. A few small contacts, but it's had big influences and big consequences as well for him, and he's now in... Where is he even? He is down in 17th place overall.
Ooh, look at this. Seb got an awful entry there into Cops and is getting eaten up by Gregory right now. Didn't He's just trying as well as he can to try and hang with him into Maggotts, Beckett's and Chapel at the moment, losing some distance already, so it's going to be hard for him coming up to Hangar right now. Neil Cooper getting a short break here from his German friend. Yeah, this is going to be hard for the guys in front here, the 22 and the 3. And looking at Seb, the way that he drives, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up completely sending it, getting closer to the race. He's staying put right now, but he doesn't need to do anything else at the moment because he doesn't have pace enough to break away from the guy in front of him. But he can for sure try and attack on the later stages of the races.
I think a couple of drivers still just trying to bide their time. And it seems we're not the only one having issues with trading paints. Which is
again.
A little bit of a problem there. Oh, Seb Hebber gets close to the car in front, and so does Greg Franks. But not close enough yet. Or I'd say close enough, but Hebber, it has to be said here, Markus, doing a good job, I think, of defending as well.
Neil Cooper is struggling really bad in the first 3 corners of this circuit right now. Every single time, Seb is getting really, really close to his rear bumper, but he keeps pulling away immediately when you get into the second sector here.
Sharp observation there. From a sharp mind indeed. Seb Hebber having to look around the outside now. That Greg Franks, of course, the other way around. And that's not gained Greg anything. And up ahead, the gaps are growing for both Ed May and Andrew Hobley down to Michael Pedersen. There is 3 seconds. And it seems to be settling for podium places. Here's Paul Gosling in 12th. On the tail of Andrew Lovesey. Close, but not close enough. I think it can safely be said. So back to our tangling trio here.
There's going to be some materializing in the end of this stage for sure. These guys are getting more and more impatient every single lap that we're going past here. And I think Seb is starting to eye out where Neil is worse than him on this track right now. So he's going to try something soon for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he'll have to.
Early defense there from Neil as well, coming into Stowe.
What you would want to be doing there. Neil Cooper seems to be suffering to me as well.
This is the part of the track which Neil is definitely worse than Seb at currently. He's going to have to try and take some lessons from this sprint race for sure and take that knowledge into the feature race. 22 as well, staying put. James Salt then.
Yeah, indeed. So.
Look here. Seb is looking really. There he goes for the fence there. Neil Cooper, he saw it coming. Seb has been looking for that opportunity every single lap now for the last 5 laps.
Yeah.
Tried it there. Neil was looking and he gets the undercut there as well.
But he gets a slide on, gets a poor exit. Is it going to be enough there?
Oh,
Cooper still hangs.
This is a gift package for Gregory, that's for sure. He's keeping wide. Oh, squeezing him.
Oh, watch out there in front of Gregory Franks. That almost went very badly indeed. But they're managing, and more so Neil Cooper is managing to hang on here. That's absolutely impressive.
Very, very aware of his surroundings there, Seb. Very aware. That was very close for him to get contact with Gregory as well, but managed to make it stick. Very hard on the offensive there as well. So good racing from these guys, not even touching anyone at all.
Oh, look at this, Oscar Wilkins! And the Volante car, of course, you'd know it if you had the livery actually displaying. They are some of the best looking cars, at least. That's my opinion. My 5 cents of taste here as Oscar Wilkins hangs it around the outside, gets a great run there, but it's a 3-car scrap as well here. Never mind that it's for minor positions, and there is contact there indeed. And this time,
3 wide.
Yeah, 3 wide yet again there, Oscar. At least not Oscar Wilkins on the receiving end. I was just about to call you Oscar.
This is not going to end well, is it? They were going 2 wide into Cops as well, and the 48 they're going all the way on the grass there in the entry of Beckett's.
And somehow they kept it straight all the way through, more or less here. And look at this, still going on as well.
Seb is passed.
Hebber is passed.
Neil.
And it just happened. We're going to have another look at that immediately. Oh, the squeeze, the contact, the rubbing of doors. Oh, another one there.
maybe
That's
touch
a
a little
big.
bit there.
That is a demonstratively big bump to say hello and thanks for last time. I know what you did there, and please, I shall not like to have a repeat of it. Is what Seb Pepper I think is basically saying there. Don't rub me, or I shall treat you the same way. Hard racing here. This looks more akin to touring car racing, Marcus, than GT3s.
Yeah, I don't know what Seb is doing here, trying to defend there, and there's a touch there with 211 and the 3 car. He honestly didn't need to do that. I think he had more than enough distance to the 3 car to just take the normal racing line there, honestly. But going for the defense late there, Neil saw the weakness in the 211 and just went for it and sent it, and honestly a poorly set up move in my opinion. And a little too late there for the 3 car. Gets past him though.
Yeah, heartbreak for Hebra, who turns in late. That's I think you're right on that call, because Neil Cooper's put it in there, and he can't just disappear. Look at Greg Franks though, now all over the bottom of the 3 car still, with an opportunity to really pick up places here late as we're hitting the 30
there we
minute
go.
mark.
There's brake check there as well from the 3 car.
But he pulls over. And
Yep, I don't know what that was.
Checkered flag though, which means that Edward May seems to be the one to... Oh, Michael Pedersen's closing in, but it's not going to be close enough. Edward May takes victory in the sprint race. And he's going to win in front of Andrew Hubley. For Volante is Michael Pedersen, the Dane, finishing 3rd. Chris Warner is going to finish 4th here. Sam Baxter 5th in the end here. James Salt for Evo SR, the 22 car, coming home for 6th place. He'll be happy he stayed clear of the kerfuffling behind there, won't he?
Yeah, for sure. There was some things going on with the 3 and the rest of the guys in this group here. Hitting the brakes on the exit of Chapel there for some reason. Trying maybe to get Gregory to pass him. Probably not meant maliciously, but it looked bad nonetheless. At least from what we were seeing. Getting the last few cars over the line here as well. But that was quite a fight we saw there for P7. That was...
Luke Schneider on the final lap. And I don't know who he collects there. I cannot even see. But a bit of contact, a bit of hard contact there as well on the final lap. Or have they yet to pass the line? Oh, that cannot be. They have. No, they have. I'm sorry. That's me being... I just saw the 3 in tight conjunction with one another still. We should actually be able to bring up the results. Here it is. Or I thought we would be able to bring up the results, but seems like we're not quite ready for that yet. So we'll be waiting patiently. And mind you, there'll be a short break of a few minutes or so while we load into the feature race session, and with that, here is Markus Gjesdal with the results.
Yeah, and as you saw, we have Edward May, who finished P1 right now in the sprint race. Andrew Hubley finishing P2 after increasing 1 spot from his qualifying position in P3. Michael Pedersen, who comes in P3. I don't think Michael is the right way to say his name, actually. I think it's Michael. Let's just call him Michael. Michael Pedersen, P3 then. The 2nd best gold driver of the sprint race this evening. Chris Warner, P4. Sam Baxter, P5. James Salt, P6. Gregory Vranks, P7. Neil Cooper, P8. Bastian Heberer, P9. Paul Cook, P10. Paul Gosling, P11. Bod Bodland, P12, Oscar Wilkins, P13, Gavin Thomas, P14, Nils Manschanden, P15, Ben. I don't know how to say that last name, Hasse. You have to help me with that one.
I think it's Ben Llewellyn.
Ben Llewellyn, okay.
I think to the best of my Welsh capabilities.
Oh, it's Welsh. Okay, well then there you go. Dirk Reski at P17, Paul King P18, Hassan Arafag P19, Nelson Inakio P20. Then we get the last few drivers of this event, and that's Chris Valley in 21st position, Jeremy de Boehaver in 22nd, James Hall P23, Max Spooner P24, Philip Whipley P25, Mark Lewis P26, and then we have the last few people, Luke Schneider, who's barely getting in a lap in front of the leaders, and then people we have to see retire from this event is David Fuller, Andrew Lovesey, Ian Roots, and John Barnes.
Well, indeed, brilliant stuff there. So, just gonna see. I'm not quite sure if we're gonna have drivers in the interview waiting room. And just as I say that, we do have a driver in the interview waiting room. It's Edward May. Edward, welcome to What a Race! Start to finish, lights to flag, and almost making it look easy out there, was it?
Wait, it was anything but. Oh my word, I'm still shaking now, and I'm glad that there's not smell-o-vision on, because Jesus Christ, I have been sweating my whatsits off that race. It was just, I can't put it into words. I'm totally blown away just by how it all went.
Brilliant stuff. And we spoke before the race. This didn't sound like it was on your level of expectations, really, to have a position up there. Do you think you're going to be in gold for the rest of the season now?
I think after that, I'm probably going to be, aren't I? After, taking qualifying and then leading every single lap. I don't know if I got the fastest lap or not. I'm having a check now, and I don't quite see if I did or not. But regardless, if I'm in gold, so be it. It was too much fun. I'm not going to complain either way. And well, what a way to start the season, eh?
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And you're going to be in 10th. You're going to be a little more in the midfield scrap there at the beginning of the feature race. What are your thoughts on coping with that?
My own points here. So now I'm just going to try and be consistent, try and finish strongly, not go anything too wild, and just see how the race happens. I've taken this one because both the races are scored equally. I'll just take this as my big point scoring, and then just be consistent for the next race. Avoid trouble. If there's any danger, I'll be more conservative than I might be if not. But hey ho, that's the way it goes.
All right, Edward. Thanks for joining us. We're going to hop off quickly because we've got a service switch to do. But congratulations on a very strong sprint race. Best of luck for the feature race. And, well, we might just have another chat with you at the end of it.
Maybe. And if I don't, well, obviously you got to thank my guys at Fury, thank all people at Motor Simulation. Of course, thanking you guys in the commentary box for putting on such a great show for us.
And here you can tell that you're dealing with someone who knows the drill here at SRW TV. Ladies and gentlemen, our winner of the sprint race and colleague of us in the booth, Edward May. Brilliant. And with that said, we'll go to a few minutes of music and waiting screen. And from there on, we'll be back as soon as we're in the session for the feature race. So don't go anywhere, and if you do, let it be a short walk to the kitchen for a snack, or maybe maybe if needed, a visit to the little house, Lord knows. But we'll be right back, just a few minutes from Hasse Rømer and Markus Gjesdal. We will see you soon. Welcome back, everyone, as my game capture figures out that it has to capture what I'm watching. And we're back for the feature race after a eventful, a close, and an exciting sprint race. We've got 45 minutes of racing left for this opening 2 rounds, if you will, of the Simracersworld BMW Trophy. Of course, still with Hasse, Rømer and Markus Gjesdal here in the booth. We'll have the start going in just a few minutes, Markus. And if you had to summarize the sprint race in relatively few words, how would you do so?
Crazy, clean, and clinical. I mean, this is some of the best sim racing I've been watching on broadcast for a while, and these guys are out here driving like it's a real life race car, and it's really enjoyable to watch. And the racing is really good, and looking forward to what the feature race will bring us.
Indeed. So, of course, mind you, we have a little bit of a different format. So a few moments of practice, and hoping that we're going to be seeing more liveries, but I'd say please don't put your expectations up too high here. It seems Training Pains still isn't too happy to play along.
But speaking of expectations, though, Hasse, Edward May, he was quite, what can you say? He was quite enthusiastic when he was in here for the interview, winning the sprint race in his first try, and he didn't seem too confident in himself in the booth before the race.
No, indeed, that's true. I think there's been a big pickup of confidence there for Edward. The fact that not only he managed to settle in and defend, but he also managed to control the race all the way through, and he made it look easy. He said it wasn't anything, but I was still trying to get that Mika Häkkinen response out of someone someday, and have him say, yes, it was so easy, you can't believe it. But today wasn't to be the day. I'm still hoping someone will do it, but yeah, I'll keep throwing the ball up there for people to grab it one day. Hopefully it'll happen here. Chris Warner doing a good job in practice. It's the usual suspects, if you will, from before, putting in the fast lap times, and a really good race indeed, and a lot of promise for the entirety of the series to come here.
Yeah, for sure, and especially a lot of excitement regarding the feature race, which we're about to see as well. It was a lot of hard racing in the sprint race and a lot of waiting out, and I'm really looking forward to how it will play out with the added fuel stop, which we will see, and Michael Pedersen going out here for a little excursion off the track. But really looking forward to seeing how this all will end up being when we start the feature race.
Very much so. It's always a different dynamic and another thing to contend with the pit stop here, as I think we might have the session taking over. Indeed we have, and that means we have another grid order to show. Paul Cook taking pole position, it is, by finishing 10th in front of Seb Hebra, Neil Cooper, Greg Franks, James Salt, Sam Baxter, Chris Warner, Michael Pedersen, Andrew Hobley, and Edward May. The top 10, of course, reversed. And then, as following from the finishing order, Paul Gosling in front of Bart Boland and Oscar Wilkins in 13th, Gavin Thomas, Nils Mansanten in 15th, then Ben Llewellyn, Dirk Reski, Paul King, Hassan Arafat, and Nelson Inacio, with Chris Wally, Jeremy de Boever, James R. Hall, and Max Spooner in 24th place. And rounding off the final rows of the grid will be Philip Hobley, Mark Lewis, Luke Schneider, David Fuller, Andrew Lovesey, Ian Roots, and John Barnes.
I have to say this, Hasse. When I was participating in these league races myself, I kept making fun of the commentators when they couldn't say my last name right. But now I sit here myself, and I notice what kind of trickery that is when you're trying to figure out how to say a Dutch last name, and then suddenly there's a German and a Portuguese last name in there. So sorry for anyone if we ended up butchering your last name there, but I mean, I always thought it was easy, but I was mistaken. But here we go. Getting a new race start going here now. Paul Cook from the lead in pole position. He's already stretching out his lead immediately. Sebastian Herber on P2. Neil Cooper, the man who burned out his front tires in the sprint race. He has a new set of 4 fresh Pirellis right now, and he's settling in 3rd for the moment. The 99 of Gregory Franks as well in the number 99. He's getting pushed from the 22nd car there. They're being really, there's a lot of pressure here between the first drivers, Hasse.
Yeah, indeed, a huge kerfuffle there. You could see him 3-4 wide, it looked, coming down towards turn 1. That obviously wasn't necessarily the case, but it looked very chaotic indeed. Edward May here's got Oscar Wilkins for company. Oh, a bit of a squeeze there, and Edward finds Oscar Wilkins up the inside of himself there, and there's nothing he can really do to defend it except just for hang on to dear life there, and he does so brilliantly indeed. Good start from Wilkins, picking up 2 positions there. Andrew Hobley, what a brilliant little shot there from the curb indeed. Paul Cook, by the way, still leading the field with Sepp Herberer in a good position, and I think Herberer Cooper ranks one of those 3 that showed very promising pace in the sprint race. Look out for them starting near the front here in the feature race.
Very good opening lap. Less crashes than we saw in the sprint race, which is probably more so to do with the length of this race. We've got 15 minutes more than the last one, and a lot less contact so far. But I have to say, the number 33, Oscar Wilkins, when he was defending from Edward May, he was almost in the grass there when he was slowing down, which was really brave to see him do that.
Great stuff there from the Volante driver, who's really been having a tough night in the sprint race, and will be looking to improve upon that. Another thing that I'm seeing here is a very competitive field as well, and not a lot of spread between the drivers.
This is a very typical single car make racing, where cars don't really have a lot of differences between themselves. It really depends on the setup and the driver, and that's a late move and a brave move from the 58 there. He is on a mission to win this race for sure.
Yeah, I think that's...
look at this! 3 wide! This contact with Michael Peterson as well, and they all stay on track. None of them crash out.
That's incredible.
In any other racing series, there would have been at least 40-car pileup after that, but no, all of them, they keep the wheels on the track. And then there's another spin! 75! There's a huge contact there with the 25, and there's our crash. That was like a delayed crash. They all crashed a few corners before this, and then a few corners later, they all decided to stop on the middle of the track.
Yeah, it's the 75 getting it loose. Couldn't really see what was happening before that. And I'm just going to see if we can catch a glimpse of it. Oh, that's another situation here with Nelson and Ignacio. And they literally... Oh, and then... Ooh. Oh, my word. Just a moment of losing concentration, frustration of the incident that just happened. And then they just had another one. Just gonna pull up the pictures. So here, there's a contact between the 22, it seems, and the 75. The 75 coming across this entire group of people. There is 4 or 5 drivers with nowhere to go, and yet the 33 gets around. That's Oscar Wilkins, I think. Who
Edward May involved in that too.
But yeah, indeed. Oh, Mayo involved in that as well. Yeah, so a heartbreak moment for several of those drivers back there with Ignacio as well. By the way, Paul Cook up ahead still leading. Neil Cooper and Greg Franks, they're still going at it from the battle with Sepp Herberer that is basically just picked up from where they left off before. That's absolutely incredible.
I do wonder if Andrew Hoopley, which was involved in that last incident, was trying to figure out a way to get past the cars that were wrecking as fast as possible, but kind of made a wrong judgment on it and ended up smashing into another car in front of him. So, but I have to say as well, I do quite like this car better without the front end. Another car out there, another car. Ben Lively, the number 77, a Welsh friend, and number 77 here. Entering the first corner.
Gets a nasty tank slapper there, and that's straight into the soft barrier. And that's not going to do him any good, for sure. We have a close fight and a scrap up here. Oh, that's Frank's, isn't it? that is Greg Franks, and he's had a major incident as well. And I must say, Marcus, it seems you have a relatively strong curse of the commentator, because you just mentioned we had a clean start, and then it turned out to be anything but. It's been chaotic here. Greg Franks for H Motorsport. 99, well, he's got 99 problems, and a crash is certainly one of them right now. Damage to the front end of the car, and that's not going to do him any good either. You can see several of the cars who's picked up damage have collected themselves at the bed of the field. And look at Oscar Wilkins for Volante. Mind you, he started somewhat down the order in 13th place. He's made it all the way up to 6th here after just 5 minutes. He's got James Salt up ahead there. Sam Baxter, who did well in qualifying, in 4th place at the moment as well. He could be one to watch there, and Hepper has won and gone for the lead, and he's not able to do so. It was a big old look, and it was a little bit late. He's trying to put pressure on Paul Cook, and Paul Cook is holding up well at the moment.
Paul has got his hands full of steering wheel right now with his German fellow competitor in the back here. Seb Herber, who is putting the pressure on Paul Cook a lot now. Seb, who had a less than ideal finish to his last race as well. He's looking to at least get a good bunch of points here after that race. And Pedersen as well in the pits right now, so a lot of people here ending up out. And that's a move there for P1.
Indeed, Seb Hebera takes the lead cleanly as well. As he dives up the inside. He must have well scoped out there. Sorry for cutting you off there, Marcus.
That's fine. He's been setting that move up for the last race now. In the sprint race, he was doing that to Neil Cooper every single time. He knew exactly where he wanted to put the car, and he knew exactly where to brake to get past Paul Cook there. Currently now our best silver driver after the decline of Edward May after that second lap incident.
Yeah, indeed. So we've had a few other problems here for David Fuller, who's been off. And we can get a bit of an earlier look at what happened for David Fuller. He just comes in much too hot. Oh, he'll be happy that there's so much runoff space there. And oh, and he picks up Dirk Reski. I'm afraid that is Dirk Reski, I think, in the 36. So David Fuller, a little bit of an irresponsible rejoin, to be maybe a bit harsh, maybe a bit cynical, but we do have the relative, and that should be avoidable, but a shame to see nonetheless here. Andrew Hopley, without his front end, he's still in 10th place there, Marcus. He's doing pretty well for himself right now.
I'm surprised he's still hanging on the way he's doing, but you can see he's really struggling with top speed here coming into the hangar straight. He's got car 14 behind him right now, which is looking to get another spot here. Should be a quite easy target for him.
So just coming back to that incident with Greg Franks there, is he just... And we've seen that quite a few times here tonight, to be honest, that slight front to rear end contact. I don't know if it's the size of the car putting the drivers off or whatever it is, but we've seen it, and it's really come to hurt a few of the drivers. Now Neil Cooper and Sam Baxter, both of them having gotten past on Paul Cook. And we'll just have another look at that.
Neil Cooper, who needs to take care of his tires right now, did a horrible job at that last race and was struggling really bad at the end of it, and now he has to do this for 45 minutes instead of the 30 minutes we did earlier.
Yeah, indeed he does. But for now, I think he wants to get ahead of this battle. And Sam Baxter doing a really good job of staying awake and opportunistic there and getting past as well. So the top three now, Seb Hebera leading, Neil Cooper, Sam Baxter, Paul Cook, and James Salt. And that'll be the top 5 overall at the moment. Paul Cook leading in silver ahead of Gammon Thomas and Paul Gosling. And in bronze at the moment, James R. Hall is leading Team Ebred. And he's ahead of Hassan Arafat for iRacing. And third, who had a very unlucky moment there at the end of the race before, is Luke Schneider. That's, of course, third in the bronze standings. And I'm afraid we've had a problem here for Andrew Lusty.
Yep, coming in here too hot, over-rotating the car and trying to figure out a way to not get hit by any of his competitors. out fine. No issues there. Apart from the obvious zone, which was rotating the car on the entry. But this is also a thing that happens with these cars so often. When you run a brake balance so much to the rear, the car really wants to turn by itself when you're braking and slowing down really, really hard. So trying to manage that as well, if you're not used to the way these cars act under braking, it can be really off-putting a few times.
Yeah, indeed, because the natural characteristics of the car it's a little more understeery, and as we touched upon it as well in the build-up to the sprint race, that the drivers will most likely be trying to alleviate that understeer by getting the car to rotate more on the rear, and that is very much possible. But of course, having the brake balance further back is one of the things that you can do to help the car rotate through the corners and on trail braking. But it does come with the side effect of being slightly less stable and especially more prone to getting all the way around here. Sam Baxter is really pushing Neil Cooper here for second place.
Yeah, he's getting a lot better entries and exits as well by the looks of it. Into that corner there, he was picking up a little bit more height than Neil. He gets a better exit immediately. I think we're seeing the same issue with Neil that we did in the sprint race. He's burning up his front tires immediately. 11 minutes in.
Oh, look at this. Sam Baxter. He's at this point now where he has to make a move sooner rather than later. He's being held up. He wants to get the better of Sepp Hepper up in the lead here.
It's going to come now. Look at this. He's trying to hang as much as he can on him, exiting this S complex right now. And he's got a good bunch of slipstream, trying to stressing out, flashing his lights. Usually that's not a trick that seems to work on a lot of drivers. If you're mentally in there and ready to cope with the guys behind you, it doesn't really upset you in any ways. But some guys can be really, really challenged when you see blinking lights in the mirror. And you see him coming in well in here. 58 of Sam Baxter and 3 of Neil Cooper. This is the same move that Sam tried earlier in the sprint race. Almost made it stick there and needs to come back on track immediately to try and avoid a slowdown. That was some brave stuff from Baxter. It's definitely going to put on some worries for Neil Cooper in P2 right now.
Yeah, indeed, and Neil Cooper really showing no space whatsoever for Sam Baxter there on the outside. And he probably took notes when Sam Baxter pulled it off very cleanly in the sprint race, not wanting to be on the receiving end of such a move, and he made sure he wasn't. But that means they're really losing time to Sepp Hepper up in front when battling so hard. Oscar Wilkins here, look at this, up into 4th place. Really flying here.
Neil is starting to struggle now with his car. Still missing apexes and brake points. You can see it here as well for a little second in front of him. And then we have a move here from Wilkins. But Baxter is really, setting his corners up well. He's getting the entries and the exits the way that he needs to. And Neil is looking ever stressed every single lap now.
Yeah, very much so. Look at this here, Neil Cooper. Can he defend this one yet again? Yeah, it seems he can, but...
Oh, he's very close now.
Oh, what was that, a brake check? Or what? That looked very, very strange indeed, and that's a huge incident. Calamitous situation there. Contact for Sam Baxter. And you would have to wonder just what happened there.
Dropped a few spots there immediately. We'll have to look at this again.
Do you think he
Neil
goes...
Cooper
is that
coming out? No. There's a speed difference there. The 58 had such a good entry by the looks of it coming. No, he's actually touching the brakes. Yeah. You're right. He's touching the brakes and turning his steering wheel to the left. I wonder why that is. Did he get a slowdown, perhaps?
But if you get a slowdown with the car so close, that's, I would say it's not the best way to serve it.
It's not an ideal situation for Neil Cooper at all. Could have been dealt with differently for sure, but ended up ruining Baxter's run to the front so far. But he has good pace, and even with the broken front end, there's definitely chances for Sam so far. Yeah, sorry to see it end up like that.
So Oscar Wilkins snuck up through there. Let's go on board here with Oscar Wilkins, see what he sees. Yeah. It's hard to see anything but that there is some sort of situation, and anyway, Sepp Hepper has been gifted a 5-second lead now and half an hour left. Do you think they can claw that back on the German?
Really depends on what kind of lap times these guys can be putting up now for the last few minutes of this race. Oh, we got another move here. Gavin Thomas and the 22 off James Salt into Brooklands. Trying to hang on the outside here. He needs to get a good exit in order to have anything to say in Cups. And he's still hanging side by side now on its quarter panel there. Ooh, switcheroo late towards the corner. Doesn't have a chance so far, but if he can get a good entry and then a good exit here, he could have something to say on the end of the hanger straight.
Yeah, here further down, it's the broken hearts of Greg Franks and Andrew Hopley, both having received major damage, and Edward May as well. Although Edward May, it has to be said, his car looking relatively okay, not any real visible damage, but the pace has certainly picked up here, and I don't think Edwards really managed to find his rhythm here in the feature race so far, but he could just be biding his time. Although absolute top spots will perhaps be a little hard to fight for. Here is the race leader though, Seb Heberer in the 211 car.
I have to say though, I was expecting most of these guys in the first crash there we saw to retire the race immediately, but having Ed and Andrew still hanging tight in 10th and 11th, I think that's a testament to what kind of durability these virtual BMW M3s or M4s have.
Yeah, indeed, the M4s seem very well built here as James Salt throws a move on Paul Cook. And I think he's got it
watch
done
for
here.
The defense now.
Yeah, oh, someone goes very wide in behind there. I think that was... oh, that's a lap car getting out of the way. It's the 75, which is why I couldn't seem to make it make sense there in that situation. Oh, and here goes Greg Franks and Paul Gosling up the inside. Will he get clear? He won, which means Paul, he can come back at him here.
Oh, look at Ed there in the background as well, side by side with Andrew.
Oh! Ed May, Andrew Hopley as well. Ed May going to get through on Hopley as well. I think up into 10th place here. Double side by side for multiple corners. This scrap is incredible here. Frank's on the outside. May's gonna come through, I think, or is he? He may. I'm sorry. Apologize. Paul Cook, though, still with his mirrors full of quantum racing and the green machine of Gavin Thomas. And yet again, I can only apologize. Well, that's a good point, John Tusting. We can certainly figure that out. Anyway, I was just about to say we can only apologize for the lack of liveries on the cars tonight. That the trading paints have been having absolute fits, and I can say we're not the only ones affected, and it's affected both Markus and I. So it's not even like Markus could tell me what the cars are looking like or anything.
It's a green car here.
It's a very green machine indeed of Gavin Thomas, regardless of what it was supposed to look like. And certainly something you notice, perhaps until it goes on the grass. He's kept his nose clean, Gavin. He's gained 8 places, and Chris Wally here in the 14 car, incredibly, he's gained 14 positions as well. Oscar Wilkins in 2nd place has gained 11 places, of course, from starting 13th. That is very good as well.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Hasse. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we have a huge scrap right now for P9 and P8. Edward May and the rest of these guys, they're very, very close, and Edward, he is on a mission to get back to the front. For sure, and he's very close as well, and he's past Paul Gosling on our timing screen for sure. The 42 has to yield for him, and Andrew as well. Look at that late move in the inside.
So we're just gonna see this sequence.
As well.
Yeah, exactly. See, there it comes from Ed May. Ed May is a brilliant send here, and then back to Andrew Hopley, who yet again just shows what class is all about as he sends it in. No remorse.
Nasty move. I love it. I love it from Andrew, the way that he set that up. He saw the situation unfold in front of him and just went for the send, got past him, and even with the damaged car, he's still able to actually defend from him.
Is he going to be able to stay ahead, though, in this situation? We're going to go back to live pictures and find out he is ahead still. Edward May, though, up into 8th place, doing very well for himself, it has to be said. Seems like he's certainly not a fluke.
Great racing so far. We had a bit of a rough start with these drivers and a few huge incidents, something that will probably be taken up with the jury or what we say in English when it comes to jury and stuff.
Yeah, that is the jury.
It is the jury. Okay, it is. It is the English word for it. Okay. Well, I am confusion. That's for sure. Well, anyways, what a race we're having in front of us now. There will probably be a few things going on in the jury after this race and conclusion, which is normal for racing, but hopefully nothing that will decide a race-winning entry or something like that. Paul Cook, which we are following live right now in his 85 machine, still getting put pressure on by the 48. James Salton P4.
Oh, what's happened here? Hopley. Oh, into the pits. Hopley. Franks as well.
Yep, it's that time of the day now, Hasse.
Yeah,
Pit stop.
Indeed, pit stop round opening up. We are about halfway through the race, so it does make sense to see drivers beginning to come in here. And of course, for these drivers carrying this damage, they do have a fast repair here for the feature race. So this is of course also a good part of the reason why these cars have just been going around and making the best of it for so long. Because now finally, staying with their pit stop strategy, they will be able to take the fast repair as well and come out fresh as a daisy. And that's going to do them a world of good for sure. It's going to be interesting to see just where they come out though. Because if they come out in thick traffic at the rear end of the field, it's going to be a tough spot to be in here. Hopley comes out, and he's going to be very much at the rear. But, of course, there's a field of cars waiting to pit ahead of him as well. And look at this, Sam Baxter now on the tail of Oscar Wilkins. So Baxter really picked up the pace here in the 58. A brilliant drive so far from him.
Very good so far from Sam. He had this few issues with Neil Cooper after a slight brake check. We don't know why he started stepping on the brakes anyways, Neil Cooper, but it did offset Sam Baxter's race a little bit, and he's back on the move, trying to chase down the 33 car of Owen Wilkins. But we have to say though, with this damage repair for Andrew and a lot of these other heavy hitters, it's going to have a lot to say about how this race is going to end for them. Having now a new front end, new aerodynamics, should be a good place to end for this race.
Indeed, and I think many more drivers will be looking forward to it. Here in comes Gavin Thomas. As with half the race gone, there is indeed half the race to go. We are 22.5 minutes into this 45-minute feature race, still with Seb Hebera leading. Oscar Wilkins for Volante Racing in second, and Sam Baxter there for Fury Sim Sports in third place. Very close to one another, and another close pairing here. It's the pairing of now James Salt, who's gotten ahead of Paul Cook, sitting up in fourth place, but Paul Cook doing pretty well to stay on the tail there. And Chris Wally in the 14 car, who's climbed up 15 positions here to sit sixth at the moment, doing well for himself also. Ed May now up into 7th, still hanging on and waiting with his pit stop. And we'll have to see with the rest of the cars here. Michael Pedersen, by the way, just to have a look at him, he's all the way down in 15th place. He's had a pit stop, but it was very early in the race on lap 3, so chances are Michael will have to come in for another pit stop at some point, which surely is gonna make it very difficult for him to really get any sort of good positions here.
He has to. There's no way he's being able to save 50% fuel for the rest of his stint then. So it's definitely coming in for another time there, Michael Pedersen. Going in for another move here on the 48. But we can quickly speak about the fast repair as well. For those of you who don't know what the fast repair is in iRacing, it's basically a function which enables the mechanics of the car to repair the car fully immediately. So you don't wait for anything. Oh! That's one of the bronze drivers, isn't it? Dirk Reski, who's hit Max Spooner for P4 in class.
Yeah, indeed. We have it in slow motion here. And this seems to be... Oh, as they touch there, indeed. Yeah, Marcus, this seems to be one of these incidents. Is it a late send or is it a late turn in? What do you think?
36 was already quite far up on the other guy's rear quarter panel there, and the guy just turned in. And there's not a lot of stuff that Dirk can do there to avoid an incident, as he's already in the corner. He's committed to it. having Max turn over his nose like that, that's it turns him around, and it's a testament to not enough experience probably. These guys are bronze drivers as well, so they'll learn as they go.
Yeah, so they'll have to, it seems, and it's a birth of fire, if you will, as well. It's been a tough opening round to the series. 20 minutes ago in this race now. Still a hard-fought battle here for second place as well between Oscar Wilkins and Sam Baxter. And leading silver at the moment is Paul Cook with close company here from Chris Wally. Oh, that was almost 2 cars in one there for a moment. And I think Chris gets a very good run on Paul here.
Yep, they're going to go 2 wide into Maggots here. Let's see how this plays out. He's got the inside for Beckett, and it's Chris Wally's cornered for sure. Paul Cook who's trying to hold on to his position as much as he can. Our pulsator for the feature race. I have to say, though, he's doing quite a good job, even though he's fallen down into P5. The guy who finished 10th in the sprint race, Paul Cook, and still hanging on P5. He's got bronze or silver driver Edward May, our race winner in the sprint race, in P6 right behind him. He's going to be challenging him for a class win, and then we see Paul coming in for his mandatory pit stop then.
Yeah, and so does Sam Baxter, it seems here. We've got Oscar Wilkins staying out. And we were expecting them to be able to do around 30 minutes. So, but you could of course say that some of those drivers might have been finding it advantageous to take a little less than the 50% fuel max allowed, just to stay a little lighter. And it's all down to individual strategy here. But still, Herbert stays out. Wilkins stays out, and then I think by now most of the field will have pitted in. Yeah, just a few cars here. David Fuller, for instance, he's yet to pit in. And a few cars actually also running in the lower positions that haven't pitted in. But most of the field at this time, except for the top 6, have had their pit stops.
I think the fuel situation could be more so on strategy and undercuts and overcuts rather than the less weight in the car having offset pit strategy where you take maybe 20% in the start and then the rest for the last stage of the race. And it could have a lot to say in how you start the stops and how you get in traffic and such. And with these cars even, it'll have a lot to say when you get behind a back marker.
Yeah, very much so. It is, and especially if you're in a car, and if you come out behind someone who's low on fuel and with a very fast car, while just having your own filled, but that can create a troublesome position as well, because you're going to be at a disadvantage, especially when not on fresh tires. So that's one worth to consider as well. And it seems, Heberer's come in here. So let's follow our race leader, the 211 car, Simracersworld Esports, Seb Heberer, into the pits.
Our first 3 drivers as well.
Yeah,
Paul Gosling still hanging on track. He's probably not even close enough to the pit entry yet. There he's coming in. So our top guys are probably looking at their stop right now. John Barnes as well, 777. What a race we've seen so far, though, Hasse, with a lot of action in the entire field and a lot of hard racing throughout. This is really looking promising for the rest of the season.
Yeah, indeed, it's been very eventful so far, and we've really had our handful in being able to just try and keep up with the action. And I'm afraid we've had a problem for James R. Hall, who came another tank slapper, although it's a relatively undramatic incident, and he comes back all well and good onto the track there, so not all that bad.
Thankfully, iRacing hasn't added flat spots to their tire model yet, or else that would have been a bumpy ride back into the pits.
That would have been catastrophic indeed. It would have been like a square tire on one side. Terrible here.
Absolutely horrible.
By the way,
have you ever tried?
Oh, sorry. Go on. Do go on.
This is the offset that we have with Discord, so this is why I don't hear such speaking over each other in normal sports casts like when you have Discord like this. But have you ever tried driving with a square tire like that, a flat spotted tire or a tire in unbalance?
I certainly haven't. If speaking of a four-wheeled machine, but I have on my. I don't know, a bicycle. I've tried it many times when having a long lockup. And he flat spot. Oh, and Michael Christensen gets hit from the behind. And he's into the wall. And he's not going to be at all happy with that. Michael Patterson, let's have another look at just what happened here. Just take a moment before we slow it down. There it is.
There's a few Danish cuss words coming out of his mouth in his rig back at home. Getting ever so slightly touched by the 11 car, trying to get into cops. There was room for him to get into the spot there, very late though, however. But there was room, at least physical room. But then we have this other thing in iRacing, which is called netcode, which you have to take into account. Or else there will be incidents like this. Yeah, oh, we got the 58 as well. Oh. Really looking at the 33. It looked like we had a guy into the wall hard there, but he was going for his pit stop.
Yeah, that's David Fuller.
Yeah, 333.
Look at this, Gavin Thomas, the 48 car, 6th place at the moment. The green machine doing very well. Then Paul Cook behind. So Gavin Thomas used that pit stop very, very efficiently and has now taken the lead away from Paul Cook. Edward May, though, impressively so as well, in 3rd place. But now with a charging Andrew Hopley here in 9th, who's got a fresh car all of a sudden and really seems to be on the pace here.
These guys were dancing in the sprint race, or at least wanted to dance. And now Andrew finally gets his chance to try and get up here and dance a little bit with Edward. Edward, who won the race in front of Andrew, actually. We got Pedersen as well in the pits. He looks to be stranded. I think that's race over for our Scandinavian friend.
Yeah, it could be, it very well could be, with just under 15 minutes of racing left. It's been reverse fortunes. Pedersen had a better race in the first one than Oscar Wilkins. And then it's certainly been the other way around for this time. But Sam Baxter really trying to make the most of it. Chris Wally isn't too far off. Of course, there's a left car in between there, not to be mistaken of. But the Eclipse driver here seems to be doing very well in the 14 car. James Salt for Evo SR in 5th place at the moment as well. And then the aforementioned 3-driver silver class battle there is going on between Gavin Thomas, Paul Cook and Edward May as well. And Edward May, of course, slightly off there. He's having his hand full with the challenge, if you will, that's coming from Andrew Hopley here, who will be very happy, I believe, having his car functioning again.
Yep. And he is really pushing now, trying to get past the silver-rated driver, and we have a little bit of smoke there. I don't think anyone was actually stuck out in the grass, or am I mistaken? Oh, we got a back marker here. The 11 touching the grass on the entry of Stowe, and then having a small excursion out to the crowd. No dramatic Stowe after that, but less than ideal for his race. Back again then to this fight with Edward May and Andrew Hopley. And switching back again to another fight, which is between the 33 and the 58. And I have to say, though, Hasse, I really do love the way that Sam is racing in these races. He hasn't had the best of luck for these two events, but he's really setting himself up once he starts getting into the rhythm and the tire starts heating up. And he's really pulling off some really good moves and really aggressive. And I like aggressive racing like we see here with Paul King and the 77.
Yeah, indeed. Paul King going for it. And that is, that's Ben Llewellyn, the bronze leader, defending very well here. Indeed, Sam Baxter has shown some really, really good racecraft, because he's had plenty of chances to just stick the nose in there, but he's chosen not to. And it's been evident in what kind of race he's had so far here for the feature race. It's been very good, and it can get even better. I think he knows as well that towards the end of this race, if he can just keep on pressing on the end of Oscar Wilkins' car there, he might be sitting on an advantage in terms of the life of his tires, that he could, well, come to take advantage of in the end. So,
Oh, we got a car in the back there,
Oh.
hard into the wall.
is that Max Spooner perhaps in the 63? Could that be it?
Oh, he's on the grass. And it's completely off. And hits the tire wall there. Very non-dramatic crash, but it looks very, very bad when you had the outside shot like we had when we saw it happening.
Yeah, Mark Lewis, who we saw had a little bit of a problem before. He's had another excursion. It's the very same place. In real life, that would have been a very dangerous situation with the car basically standing still there on the side of the track. Here's Andrew Lovesey. And a little bit more spread on the field here. But then again, we've seen some heavy hits. We've seen some rather big incidents. And the fighting here between Oscar Wilkins and Sam Baxter, who at least from my perspective here, Marcus, seems to be getting slowed down a little bit by Oscar Wilkins up ahead. It's allowed Chris Wally in the 14 car to be right on the tail. And all of a sudden, we got a three-way battle here.
Yes, I do wonder kind of how Sam is trying to set himself up in these fighting situations. He's usually moving a little bit to the right before the entry of Cups. You'll see it again probably with the 33. What that does is that he doesn't really ever actually have a chance to try and get past him in Cups, which he's setting himself up for a pass, which is actually not ever there. What happens then is that he's going to start losing pace on the straightaway into Maggots. And if he wants to actually have a good chance in passing the 33 here, he has to try and keep as close to the rear bumper as he can through this S section and then make a move at the end of Hangar straight into Stowe Corner. But now getting pressure as well, as you said, from the car in the back there, the number 14 of Chris Wally. So this is going to be really exciting right now. And these tires as well are starting to get worn out. We are, done 36 minutes of racing so far.
Yeah, indeed. I'm afraid we've had a problem here, Marcus, for James. Oh, what happened? Oh, that looked very, very, very odd to me. That looked
looks like a wheel disconnection right then.
Exactly.
Reconnect.
Yeah, because he just went straight, basically, and that was heartbreak indeed here. Nelson Inácio, our Portuguese friend in the 27 car for 27 Motorsport. He's had a bit of a, what I would call a harmless spinner. Of course, harmless is not really a term that you can use in a 45-minute race. No spinner is harmless. It's precious time lost. But when covering endurance races, and especially 24-hour races, and the really atrocious ones like the 24 hours of Nürburgring and such, the 24 hours of Spa as well, having a small 180 spin like that and losing 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds or so, it's not the end of the world, and you come to live with such small mistakes. In another way here, Sam Baxter is beginning to really wanting to... he scoped out Oscar Wilkins for a number of laps now, and now I think he's planning to make a move.
Yeah, Sam is having some really, really good entries again. He's got the first sector of this track nailed. He's hitting every apex and every braking point, every single lap basically, and he's always really, really, really close to the car in front of him. This is going to be really hard for Oscar to try and defend for, but if he can keep the pace up where he needs to and not do that, if you do that too far out, you'll get a slowdown. That's a automatic position gain for the car in the back there, and he misses a little bit there, Sam, as well in the Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel area. He's going to get a lot of pressure now from the 14 coming on this Hangar straightaway.
Yeah, indeed. Chris Wally here might sense that there's an opportunity to get past and on, and he seems to have the pace here as we're moving in towards the last 5 minutes of racing here, Marcus. This
Here it comes.
This feature
Firing
race
it up on the inside.
Fine. Wally on the inside of the 14, not making contact there, keeping it clean, as we've seen Sam Baxter yet again with the racecraft is really good in the 58. Two gold drivers showing gold standards. Gold racing here. Great defending from Sam Baxter. Oh, and that's a big, big chunk of sausage curb taken there by Chris Wally. And just like that, he was out of it, or not out of it, but the gap just flew up to 0.8 of a second there as he bounced that curb.
Defense by the book from Sam there. Blocked the apex for the car in the back. Couldn't make the corner the way he wanted to. Had to step on the brakes a little bit there. There's a distance immediately. Sam is a little faster than And Oscar, by the looks of it as well, already regained some of that lost time from the attempt for the 14 in the back there at the end of hangar.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Markus up ahead. It's Sepp Hepper in the 211. 7 seconds of advantage for him with just about 5 minutes of racing left, and he is in a really good position now. He keeps the nerves in check, and it seems to be cool, calm, and collected about it indeed. He can now make sure that he doesn't need to take any sort of risk. He can just go around basically and still not risk being caught by these three, who in the end probably is going to have their hands full battling all the way to the checkered flag here, it seems.
Massive luxury there for Sebastian, who has no pressure from behind, as you touched on. Oscar Wilkins, though, he would like to be in that situation himself, but he's got 2 angry drivers behind him in each of their own BMWs. This is, after all, a one-make series, so it's not like anyone else didn't want to choose any other car than a BMW. So, a lot of close racing there by these guys in the finishing 5 minutes of this feature race, the second race of tonight.
And yeah, indeed, for the first time,
Look at this.
the field has spread ever so slightly. We've seen so many close battles, but where we're still seeing close battles is almost at the head of the field here. Positions 2, 3, and 4 still up for grabs. And it's Oscar Wilkins, Sam Baxter, and Chris Wally still scrapping ahead here. We're inside the last 5 minutes. Sam Baxter lining up another move here.
He's setting him up. He's setting him up. He's going to do the same thing he's been doing to most of these guys. Maybe. Always looking for it. Late apex there for the 58. And he's going to hit this perfectly as well, like he's done every other lap here. Trying to get down. Oh, he's got a little scare from the 33 there. Didn't quite turn in the way he wanted to. Backed out of it. And now he's exposed for the 14 car here. Chris Valley, who's following in the slipstream. He can look on the inside. He's showing himself on the mirrors, but he's not doing anything yet. He has to have 2 good corners now. Getting onto the straightaway before Cops, which is the next corner. Both of them hitting really good on the exit here as well. Getting a lot of speed on the exit for the 58. Chris doesn't have anything to say, at least for now. He has to have full focus now for the next 3 corners. And the 58, who's been looking at the second spot in the feature race so far. Still getting a lot of pressure from the car in the back here. Oscar Wilkins then now can chill out a little bit more. He's still missing some of his corners now, and I think tire is getting more and more apparent the closer to the end of this race we're coming.
Indeed, and perhaps it also shows some of the fine margins that they're dancing on here. Because every time Sam Baxter tries to go for a move, he also risks opening himself up from a move from Chris Wally in behind. He's very close here now.
Defensive driving there for the 33. You saw him getting closer in the mirror. Again, I think that's a sign of weakness for the 33. I think he could have done well just holding the normal racing line.
That might be true indeed. So Oscar Wilkins in the 33 car, certainly under pressure, but you're a very good run from Chris Wally. And it is indeed the position of luxury. Is that Sam Baxter going defensive there, or was it a look, or was it maybe a two-faced move, trying to go offensive and defensive on the same time? Sometimes attacking is the best defense, and there is only one apex, so if you block it, maybe nobody passing.
I think that was more so on his line there, trying to get the car slowed down in a straight line. That's more effective than having turn in the wheel while you're braking. Getting good slipstream then from the 33. Gavin Thomas as well, as you see here in his green mean machine. Ooh, Edward May. The 85.
Let's see if you can hang on to this. It's for second place in silver class.
Oh, this is for first place, isn't it?
Oh, I don't think it is. We've got
it's not.
Gavin
Right,
Thomas up ahead. Sorry for really good stuff there. Edward May, Paul Cook, really good battle here, and it's still going on up ahead. Look at the closeness of this, just 2 tenths ahead. Oscar Wilkins, Sam Baxter, and it's the same distance down to Chris Wally. We're into the final minute here. It's gonna be the victory for Sepp Hebera, unless something goes terribly wrong on the final lap. And look at this here, the 14 might have the chance, and here he goes.
Good run. Good run down Hanger Straight here for sure for the 14. And he's gonna be in the plus side here. Might get him on the outside if he can hang on. And he breaks a little later and keeps a bit wider, and then he has to go full defensive here, 58. I think he'll keep it going. And then we see Sebastian Hebrer. He's going over the line now, winning the feature race, the second race of tonight, and it's a perfect victory there for our German.
And it's Wilkins, by the way, just gonna go through this. Wilkins takes second ahead of Sam Baxter, Chris Wallace. What defending from Oscar Wilkins as well, being able to bring it home there. James Salt taking fifth, Gavin Thomas, I'm sorry, in sixth, and then Edward May hanging on to seventh, right ahead of Paul Cook. And I'm just gonna reverse time shortly there. We're gonna have another look at this one.
Absolutely mental racing from these guys this evening. Edward May here with the last lap, full of confidence after his victory in the sprint race. Absolutely perfect stuff here from the 107 car. Then defending the inside for Brooklands. The 85 did not have anything to say there.
Oh, indeed. You see the tires of Paul Cook not responding the front, and I think Andrew Hubley, he goes a little wide there. He must have been looking for it. He was pretty close actually all of a sudden, and he has to take 10th, I think, in the end. Anyway,
P9 then for
P9
Andrew.
for Hubley in there, indeed, for 10th for Franks, and so on. Do we have everybody across the line? I'm not quite sure. Still cars running here, and we're just gonna get the last of the finishers across the line. Watching Dirk Reski currently, and by the way, finishing first is Ben Llewellyn, and that's in gold, or I'm sorry, that's in bronze, of course. Philip Hopley takes second in bronze, and Dirk Reski, the aforementioned, takes third place. There's Ian Roots getting across the line. We'll probably be pretty happy to see that. Here's a few of the finishers rolling off. Andrew Hopley had an eventful race for himself. He hung on for so long with that damage to his front end, and could really see the change in pace after the fast repair for him. But what a race, a good one indeed, and let us see if we can have our results on screen yet. We can indeed. Sepp Hebera for Simracersworld Esports picks up the win in the 211 car in front of Oscar Wilkins, who started 13th, finishing second. A very good show indeed for the Volante Racing driver. Then Sam Baxter, Chris Wally, and James Salt rounding off the top 5. Then silver victory to Gavin Thomas for Quantum Racing ahead of Edward May, who took second in class, 7th overall. Ahead of Paul Cook there on the final lap. Then Andrew Hubley, Greg Franks, and Paul Gosling, John Barnes, Andrew Lovesey, David Fuller, and in 15th place there, Jeremy de Boer, Nils Manchanten, Paul King, and Ben Llewellyn in 18th overall. And then Nelson Ignacio, who had a bit of a tough time, same you could say about Michael Pedersen, finishing 20th the day in there, certainly not satisfying for him. And Markus mentioned a couple of cuss phrases would probably be coming from his mouth in a language that I understand all too well. Philip Hopley 21st, Dirk Reski 22nd, and then Ian Roots, who's had a tough old evening as well, the big boss there. Luke Schneider 24th, Mark Lewis in 25th, and Max Spooner 26th, with James R. Hall, Hassan Arafat, Chris Warner, Neil Cooper, and Bud Boland rounding off the rest of the field. A few retirees there as well on a final bit of this race. So a very eventful feature race that I think did well to live up to what we saw in the sprint race as well, Markus.
I think a lot of leagues has a lot to learn from SRW, honestly. a lot less crashing here than I'm used to seeing on sim racing. I'm very excited to see how this league will be in the coming races. So far, it's been looking very good, and yeah, the product is just absolutely astonishing to watch, and seeing these cars go around this track. Like, it feels more real than a lot of other esports events on iRacing that I've seen, at least.
Well, that's a compliment in our direction as well. So that's enjoyable, and I've had a really good time watching this one as well. I have to say, I've been looking forward to this one. I always a fan of one make racing, but when seeing it like this tonight, it's all the better. We got a driver in the interview waiting room, and it's none other than our feature race winner, Seb Hebera for Simracersworld Esports. Sebastian, a very good race on your part, and all the other circumstances just seemed to fall perfectly in place, didn't they?
Yeah, the feature race was really awesome for me. I managed to fend off Neil and then get by Paul, I think it was, Paul Cook. That was really, really fun, and then I managed to just run away with it.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, because that's actually how it looked as well, and the trio behind so caught up battling that it seemed to be a really good escape. Did you ever think that you would come under pressure at any point if the battle behind would come to settle down?
Yeah, I knew that when it came to raw pace, I knew that Sam Baxter and Neil Cooper were faster than me. And I was hoping that they were battling and fighting with each other. I was a little bit surprised because I think they're both Fury. I would have expected that they would have worked together, but yeah, it worked out for me like that.
It was Sam Baxter is Fury indeed, but it's Chris Wally for Eclipse and then Oscar Wilkins for Volante. So at least not the problem of having two teammates in behind. Seb, a very good couple of results for you here, which is going to put you, if not at top the standings, then at least very close to the top of the standings. The gold class seems very competitive. So does silver and bronze, by the way. What are your perspectives now on the rest of the coming season here?
Well, I'm certainly motivated now to keep up the training and to, keep up the pace so I can compete in gold class. I think I got a solid foundation to compete for the win. But let's see what the next races bring.
That's great to hear, Seb. Thanks for joining us for a short talk here in the booth, and congratulations on a very, very nice race win here in the feature race. Before we let you off the hook, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or a thanks to?
Yeah, first, thanks for having me, and shout out to Ian, who had a, not so good race tonight. I hope he will recover and come back for the next one. And to all the drivers who have joined us in the BMW Trophy. Without the drivers, it wouldn't have happened. Thank you, guys, everyone.
Sweet. So that's the words from Seb Hebera, our race winner for the feature race tonight. We're gonna bring in Oscar Wilkins for a talk or for a little bit of an interview as well with Markus Gjesdal. So take it away, guys.
Yeah, Oscar, thank you so much for coming into the booth. That was quite an ending to that race. Can you tell us a little bit how it was for you to try and fend off Sam Baxter for the remaining of the race?
Yeah, it was. Thanks very much. It was pretty intense. Sam and Chris, they were catching me quickly. Actually, a little bit faster than me, I think. But yeah, so the last 20 minutes or so, it was hard work. I tried to break the slipstream but they were, I think their tires were a little better. I'm not sure, but every time they caught me a little bit, and then I managed to break away. And yeah, it was hard work, but I enjoyed that.
Very close fight between you and the rest of the guys in the 58 and the 14. And you mentioned tires a little bit there. How much does tire affect the cars during a stint of 45 minutes?
Well, I think it seems to be quite a lot, like especially compared to the first race. You might have seen the first race. It was a big disaster for me. Got hit, unfortunately, and had to work my way forward. And then, yeah, you could tell towards the end of the race the tires were completely gone. So even at some point to P20, I think that he was catching me. So then I realized this for the feature race that I had to save a bit. But when I saw Sam and Chris come, I mean I had to push towards the end because otherwise I would lose the position, I think.
That's still second place in class in goal for the feature race at Silverstone. I mean, not a perfect start for the race on the sprint race, but Imola is coming up for the next race, if I'm not completely mistaken. So what do you think about your chances there, Oscar?
Well, unfortunately, no chances because I'll be abroad for work. It's a shame because I like Imola, but I'll be back for Ulton Park.
But still, what do you think are your chances overall in the championship?
Well, I have to say the level is really high. As when I qualified on the 11th, I was like a little bit shocked, to be honest. So I have to do a bit more preparation next time to be more in the front from the beginning. But overall, I hope to finish at least in the top 5 towards the end.
Thank you so much, Oscar, for giving us a great performance out on track and also this interview. And before we release you, do you have anything you want to say or anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, you guys for doing the commentary and Simracersworld for organizing this event. And of course, my team Volante Racing and our sponsor Sim Racing Loft and my teammate Michael. But he'll be back next time.
Thank you so much, Oscar, and congratulations again on P2.
All right, thank you.
So that was Markus Gjesdal and Oscar Wilkins with a bit of a post-race chat. And then we're going to bring Edward May in for another talk. Edward, not perhaps the race you were hoping for in the feature race, although the result in the end not too shabby. But talk us through what happened with that first lap incident.
Yeah, the first lap went all right. I sort of had to be a bit more cautious. I thought there was chances to make passes, but then they got covered off pretty late, so I didn't want to take any unnecessary risks, had to back out of those. And then lap 2, there was just a massive sort of pile-up coming out of the loop, just that tight left-hander, and then that left-hand kink before you go onto the Wellington straight. I don't know what happened. There might have been a contact up in front, and then that just created a massive domino effect. I tried to go off of the circuit to avoid it, but I think Hopley, Andrew just got caught up in all of that chaos, didn't have enough time to get onto the brakes, and while I was off the circuit, he was spinning around, just collided with my rear, and from then on out, I was damaged, a little bit limping, but still had decent enough pace to carry on. And then it was just a race of, trying to get back up the order and damaged imitation, really. And I managed to make it work. 7th place, had to send my teammate a little bit at the end of the race, but that's what racing's all about, a little bit of a fun, a little bit of a cheeky send every now and then.
And what about the last lap overtake on Paul Cook for second in the silver class, 7th overall there? That looked very well executed too, Edward.
I was having to grit my teeth for that one. That was so close between the pair of us, and I did a sort of send at the same place in the lap before, but it didn't quite well off. So I was like, right, I have to do it now. It was really close. It would have been tears if Paul had actually turned in and we made contact. So we did very well to avoid it, give each other enough racing room. And then I was having to think more then about just trying to help him out because I saw that he was under massive pressure from Andrew behind. And I think you can see just down the Wellington straight, I had to dip to the right just to give him a bit of toe going to stone. I think he does actually manage to hold on to that position, thankfully.
Indeed. So, Edward, a good night's worth of racing for you. It's been great to follow, and we've had a good time following your battles and your escapades out there on track. It's been interesting. By the way, before we let you off the hook, as you know, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out here while on the air?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, of course, the people at Fury Sims were all my teammates for this race. They've helped me out massively, and I wouldn't have won that race if it wasn't for them. So big thanks to them. Of course, thanks always has to go as well to Midas Simulation. They're our sponsor, and they help us out a lot as well by putting up sessions for us and making sure that we're keeping tipped up. And then as well, another shout out, as I've mentioned, with you boys doing the broadcasting as well. Seb Herber, I know you had to chat to him earlier, and he does a great job putting this all together. And I know he's a busy boy behind the scenes, but mate, he's done an absolute sterling job for this. And I know that was sort of thrown together as a little bit of a replacement, I think, for the GT Pro Series. But I'll tell you what, I'd say just replace it out and out and keep this going because this is absolutely amazing. I love it. It's
been great to follow. It's been great seeing the races, and we'll hope to have a chat with you as well in one of the coming ones. And thanks for coming in for a talk, and best of luck, mate.
Yeah, thank you very much. Looking forward to Imola. That's a better track for me, so we'll see if I can repeat this time.
Indeed. So that was Edward May, second in the silver class. And with that, that's going to be the end of broadcasting from us tonight, I'm afraid. We have reached the concluding end, is what I meant to say. And the conclusion is quite interesting indeed, as I think Markus would agree as well. I think it's been some very good racing, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. What about you, mate?
I've been enjoying this since the start of the first race. Really looking forward to Imola. Imola is a really technical track on a lot of levels. We'll see a lot of close racing and a lot of traffic packs going along the race. It's hard to pass there, so qualifying will have a lot to say on how the first sprint race will go for sure.
Very much so. We'll be back with you in 2 weeks' time for rounds 3 and 4, as Markus said, at Imola, which is a venue very dear to my heart, so I'll be looking forward to that one as well. Until then, well, thanks to our sponsor, Abruzzi Racewear, for making this possible. Link to their webpage is in the description, and I do recommend you all go checking it out. Thanks to all for joining us in the stream. Thanks for your involvement in chat. And until next time, from Hasse Rømer and Markus Gjesdal in the commentary booth, take care, have fun, and bye-bye.